New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour, 60 minutes of connections, insights, and conversations to raise your vibe. Join Rev Cynthia, Rev Julie, and Rev Skip each week for an exploration of living a high vibe life. Tune in live every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time or anytime during the week on our YouTube channel. The High Vibe Hour, only on New Thought Media Network.
Let me take our sign down so people can see who we are. Kaboom. Hey, everybody. Here we are. Welcome to the High Vibe Hour. I'm Rev Skip. I'm an author, speaker, a minister, and I'm grateful that I get to hang out with my sister, Reverend Julie.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm Reverend Julie Moret. I am a speaker and teacher at the Agape International Spiritual Center, and I love our time here on the High Vibe Hour. It's a nice big 1 hour stretch where we get to dive deep on themes that matter. So, yay.
Absolutely. And Reverend Cynthia is going out and changing the world as she always does, doing something that's pretty incredible, but she'll be back with us next week. What's going on? What's happening?
Oh, well, I just I spoke at the Agape International Spiritual Center this
Yeah, you
past
did.
Sunday. And the archives are available at agapelive.com and on Agape's YouTube channel. And it's just like, it's an extraordinary experience because Agape, which is founded and directed by Michael Bernard Beckwith, we have over 100 countries and territories that stream in every week. And so it really feels like an opportunity to like tap at the pulse of the world. And so it's very exciting because it's like, ooh, if we can bring some love, if we can bring some wisdom, if we can bring some calm, it's like embracing the globe. That's what it feels like every Sunday at Agape. So it was a lovely experience. And so that was my big thing.
What did you talk on? What was your talk on? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. Yes, it was. The theme was I want to be better, the longing that lifts you. I want to be better, the longing that lifts you. And it comes from an excerpt in Dr. Howard Thurman's what is it? The journey.
The journey for the inward journey.
The inward journey.
One of my favorite
There's
books.
A whole passage that he wrote called I Want to Be Better. And it just like goes into every cell of my body. That kind of, I call it the longing that never leaves, that we're born with this kind of urge. In science, it's actually referred to as syntropy, which is the innate drive in all living matter to self-perfect, to move into wholeness. So it's actually loaded and coded in us to become our fullest self. And so when I read that thing, I want to be better, it taps into an ache inside of me because it's like, we can never be better enough because our wholeness is infinite. Like our possibility is infinite. And so the whole idea was it's the longing that never leaves, but when you nurture it, it becomes the longing that lifts you, that helps you take flight.
Oh, awesome. So cool.
Yeah, that was sweet. I love that one.
Oh, good.
Yeah. How about you? What was your week like?
Well, I'm very much dropped into the fall because we're now officially in fall. I'm seeing the pumpkin spice, the pumpkins everywhere, and I'm gonna go with it. But I'm gonna give you my little hidden gem for me that I think I've shared on the show anyway. My thing, and don't judge the journey. I love scary movies. I love scary movies. I love that time of season. I love the Halloween stuff. And I've been dropped into the Halloween time. It's been absolutely amazing. And what I love to do is I love to, to enjoy this time of Halloween. So I've been in, watching a couple movies and it's been exciting and I'm ready. I'm in it.
What have you watched? What was exciting?
Okay, so I love this movie, and it's a sequel, the Megan movies. It's Megan 2.0, the little AI doll that comes to life, and I was just watching that last night. And it's the 2.0. It is so hilarious. It's so funny. It's so it's just part of what we do at the Halloween. We find things with AIs, and then there's the other thing too. Is I love Marvel. And Marvel has a new series called Marvel Zombies. It's
Oh
animation.
my gosh.
And
Yes.
I've been
I've
watching the
heard
whole
about that.
series. It's been so much fun. I'm going, oh, here we are. We're dropping into our fall season. So that has been kind of my fun time, and still doing the house hunting stuff, but it's been great dropping into fall and getting, and it's getting a little cooler here in LA, hanging out. And I'm not in sweater season yet, but we will be soon because it does drop. The temperatures drop here in LA. And
Right.
I'm enjoying fall. I'm enjoying the fall. I'm feeling the feels of the fall. So,
Love it. Love it.
we-
Love it.
and we
So
see
I
Liz.
saw in our chat, I tried to say welcome all, and it said welcome from all of us. So I need to figure out how to do this differently.
I
But
love it. I
welcome to
love it.
everybody that's joining us. We're so
I
grateful for
think
your
Reverend
presence.
Cynthia is watching on YouTube as well.
Oh,
See, it's
sweet.
Cynthia. Yeah, I think she's in there, or maybe it just. Oh, I got it. You
I just
you
did something and it
you
like
put
made
it
it
in
for all
there.
of us.
It dropped in from yes, there it is. It happened
Yeah.
there. Got it. And
Okay.
also, Marianne's on with us today as well. Hey, Marianne, how are you? Good to
Oh, I'm
see
glad you
you.
like
And
the
she's
talk.
like, "Yeah, yes. So, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you're on. She wants to talk. I love
Oh, and
it.
Liz saw it. How fun is this? I'm so glad y'all were in.
We have a following going on. We have a following going on. So I love it. All right. So we're talking about fear this week.
Yes. Yes. A
We're
tale of
talking.
two fears.
A tale of two fears. And in our conversation, in our production meeting, we talked about there is the fear of success and the fear of failure. And we're going to go on this incredible journey of looking at, how does fear show up in our bodies? How do we continue to repeat these patterns? What is it really for? How did you deal with fear? What's the difference between failure and success? So I'm really into this journey with you. I'm grateful. This is gonna be
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about fear is, fear is anxiety about something that hasn't happened yet, right?
Yeah.
So fear is anxiety about something that hadn't even happened yet, right? It's like paying rent on a house that you don't own. So, and I like saying that, and no matter how many times we hear it, it's such a good reminder. At least for me, it is. It's like, oh, and so the practice, one of them is to stay in my body and stay in the present moment. Because right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
you know, right now. And so, so yeah, we'll be able to do some exercises with this on what happens when that fear kind of comes up. And
Yeah.
I really love that it's two pronged
Yeah.
because fear of failure, got the spotlight for so long. It's like everybody talks about, having a fear of failure, but there's a fear of success too. It's a little
Of
more
course.
insidious. And so I think taking a moment to look at both and notice, as you mentioned, like, oh, is this a familiar feeling? Because
Yeah.
sometimes we have these neural pathways that are habituated and they just run on a loop.
Mm,
So a trigger happens that maybe was a trigger 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 40 years
yeah.
ago. And it's like, no, 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 no. That happens in my relationships. I have some things that were like a huge issue for me 10 years ago. And
Yeah.
when a trigger happens, it puts me right back there. But this is a new moment. And
Yeah.
so there is really a big part in learning and becoming keenly aware. Is this really how I feel right now? Or am I just
Mm.
running an old racket? And is it time to program in something new? That's a
And
big deal.
Yeah, that's a lot. And what I love, I want to go back to something you said. Most of the time when we're in fear, is fear of the future. And I heard a teaching, and I can't remember who said it first, so I'm going to say it's mine. You're either in fear of the future, regret of the past, or you're in the power of the present. So
Ooh, say
future
that one more time
tripping is like
slow. Could you do
you're
that
either in the
slow?
fear of the future, regret of your past, or the power of the presence. Because the only true power that we have is in the presence. Future tripping for me is, and I play this game of, I learned this from Michael Beckwith. I did learn this from Michael Beckwith. The
Mhm.
what if, when we go to that negative place of the what if this is not the person for me? What if this person doesn't like me? What if this job doesn't work out? What if I don't get this part? What if the book doesn't sell? And I learned from Michael Beckwith that we can switch the what if to something positive. What if this is the greatest experience I've ever could have? What if this is the greatest love relationship that could ever be for me? What if this is a bestseller and it brings more abundance than I could ever, ever, ever think about? So for me in the future tripping, the fear of the future, it's really shifting it to what is it that I really want? And the other
Mm,
thing too is I've heard about fear. Fear is a way to really, sometimes I have fear speaking, believe it or not. I have fear, like I get a little tense, a bit nervous. And the fear, as long as it doesn't stop me from getting up on stage, I can use it. So I will say in argumentative treatment, I know that I'm in fear, right? I feel like I'm in fear right now, but I know the presence of God is within me. So today I'm choosing to change this fear into excitement. Let's
yeah,
go. I'll see
yeah.
things like that all, but fear happens a lot in me.
Yeah, there's one of the things that I like about that idea of turning fear into excitement is that fear is the flip side of fear is excitement. Welcome, Jay
Mm,
Thomas. Greenlee, Colorado. Fear is the
yay.
flip side, right?
Yes.
Of excitement is the flip side of fear. So in some cases, fear is fear. In some cases, oh, that can work to call it excitement. And then notice how that shifts things, right? So I think that's a really powerful one. And another one that I really like a lot is when I'm feeling fear, like you said, you can future trip, right? Like
Mhm.
that's concern about the future is I love that mantra. I feel like I say this every single week. My life is forming. That's
Yeah.
a Reverend Kathleen McNamara. Like I remember like it was yesterday. My kid was very young. I was out for a walk. I was terrified because my son was going to a water park with another family. It was the first time he was going to be at a theme park without me, the first time he was with a driver I didn't know. And I was freaking out. I was happy for him, celebrating this newness, but I was so worried. And I called up Reverend Kathleen McNamara, and she said, she like paused and she went, I trust his life. I trust that his life is for him. Like that
Mm,
was a mind-blowing moment. And I want to share that as a tool to grab hold of for all of us, that in any moments when that fear, whether it's fear of failure or success, that when a fear comes up, to begin to build, like we want new neural pathways,
yeah.
new habituated patterns. And so, you've heard this, if you do something 21 days straight, if you get into practice, anytime you feel, we'll do your regret of the past, your nervousness about the future. Anytime you're out of the present tense, to go into that place of, I trust my life. I trust that my life is
Mm,
for me. Just to say it, so we
yeah.
start to retrain our nervous system. Like, I don't know how that
Absolutely.
lands for you, but that like
It,
thrills my cells. That's very
it's
exciting to
it totally lands for me. And what I would love to do for our viewers, I did a little research about what is fear, because I love that we get to kind of look and I do my research on every subject that we're talking about. And when I came up with fear, 5 things that we can recognize fear to be. Number one, fear is not something that's evil, it is not something that's wrong. I believe fear has a reason why it's showing up. And number one, I love the acronym false evidence appearing real. Have you heard that before, Rev?
Yeah, do that again
False
really slow, please.
false is an acronym that stands for false evidence appearing real.
Fear.
So we get to really look at fear as okay, this is an opportunity for me to question, is this really true? We'll talk about this in the second half. Fear, number two, is a protective mechanism.
Yes.
When the ego produces fear within us, it wants to protect us from failing or even success. We'll talk about that later on, but it becomes a protective mechanism. Number three, fear is a message. Fear
Mm.
is a message if you choose to receive the message. And it takes a little bit of time of contemplation. Therefore, number five or number four, it is a tool for growth. If we can look at fear as a tool for us to grow, to get the message, that's going to be huge. And then last and not least, the fifth one I came up with, fear has a way of showing up in many ways. It shows up in the body. It shows up in our thinking. It shows up in our energy. So therefore, fear is an energetic experience as well.
Yeah. And I want to open this up on the chat. If there's something you want to share about this, like what are some of the signs that you notice, like when you feel it in your body? How does fear show up for you? Because these things like what you just mentioned, when there's a sense of fear that starts to bubble up, to build in like it's grow time, these
Mhm.
like little triggers to kind of work with what works for you. It could be like, "Ooh, I'm feeling nervous about that." It's grow time. And see if that feels empowering. Like a lot of us that take the time to tune into something like the high vibe hour or to put it on
Yeah.
are people who desire to grow. Like we're here because we want to do the work. You could be, scrolling right now. You could be, watching things on TikTok, but there's something inside of you that yearns towards fulfillment and wholeness. And so what I love so much about the opportunity of this high vibe hour is that we have an hour to come up with, how am I going to retrain my brain? How am I going to
Mm.
come up with new patterns that serve this now moment? Because when fear is a big part of anybody's daily life, it is highly likely that it comes from past experiences. Like we've learned
Mhm.
this, right? And it's a habituated pattern. And it may have been justified, probably was justified and warranted when you're 5 or 6 years old. But as a grown up, it's like one of the things I have to keep telling myself is like, there's a grown up at hand now, like boots on the ground. And I need to sort of reparent my own self and let myself know it was scary at 5, but I've got you, and I'm a grown woman and I have resources and skills. And so building up this kind of like, yeah, we're going to stumble and fall. And yes, we must, because otherwise we're just cruising and nothing's happening. So as far as growing into our fullest selves. So I really love the opportunity to take some time and come up with like what game plan will work with you, because fear, experiencing fear or excitement, deciding to reframe it, like what are some of the reframes that we could choose to put in place now, like this hot minute,
Mm.
so that if
Yeah.
something bubbles up, it's immediate, it's grow time, or it's,
Yeah.
ooh, that's scary. But you know what? Even now, my life is for me. I trust my life.
Absolutely. And thank you,
Yeah.
Liz, for your honesty. And Liz writes, I grew up in an abusive alcoholic home. Thank you for sharing that. I have a mentally ill alcoholic 28-year-old son. I'm blessing you, holding you in my heart right now. I am now 66 and feel like I am living my childhood over again. I lost my daughter to alcohol, and now in fear of your son, losing your son. First of all, sis, just saying it out loud, it's a powerful movement to moving from this space of fear. And I learned this from A Course in Miracles. It might help you, Liz. The only way that we can fear less, because it doesn't mean we're not going to have a life without fear, because there is fear. But to fear less, we must learn to love more. And in that space of fearing less and loving more, the only way, what is a miracle? Moving from fear to love. It doesn't mean we don't acknowledge what's happening, because this is very serious work. But we also know that what helps us with someone else is the love presence, to love more, love yourself more, to love your family more, to be there and do what you can do to support. I, this is not an area of my expertise, but I know there is help out there, and there is support, and we just know in our spiritual communities you're a part of Agape. We have our prayer ministry, and stepping into a place where you can feel centered within yourself. Reverend Julie, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I appreciate what you said. And we know Liz really well at Agape and are so grateful for your presence. And that's like super powerful to say to love more. I like, um outdoing what I don't want with what I do want, like pouring more
Mm,
into what I do desire. And um, so I think that's a really powerful thing. And also, of course, when you're dealing with something extreme, and I know Liz knows all of this, like all
mhm.
the resources, you get them. And unfortunately, it's only when the person is willing that it can kind of go forward. Um, but I think the part that you can do is other than like keep trying to get him into treatment and get the real nuts and bolts assistance there, is what Rev Skip just said. And just and you don't even have to do this physically with him, but just to keep trusting, like his life is for him, his life is for him, his life is for him.
Mm,
Like that has, especially as my son gets
wow.
older, that's like a living mantra inside of me. And um and it starts it just I find it very helpful. So it's just an offering I want to make. Like you do all the
Yeah,
things. There have been times when I had concerns about somebody and like the whole world stopped and like we went and just did everything that was needed for that person physically. Um, and when you don't have that opportunity to physically like pick a person up and get them into
right,
treatment, like if that's not
right.
available, you love the hell out of them, literally.
Yeah,
You love
yeah.
the hell,
Love.
the hellish thoughts out of them. And it's not
Mhm.
something you necessarily do with them if they're not open to that. It just becomes the prayer is not praying for what you don't want. I don't want that person drinking, or I
Yes.
don't want this. It's I am so grateful for his life. I'm so grateful for the love that is him. I'm so grateful for the health that is his. Like really doubling down, and for yourself as well, for
Mhm.
yourself as well. Yeah, this is powerful
Reverend
work.
Julie, thank you for saying that, because there are so many times that we have loved ones in our life that are going through horrific experiences. And even though we give them the greatest tools to help them shift their life, they have to do the work. They have to do the work. And that mantra you just said, their life is for them, my life is for me, their life is for them, really kind of releases the pressure of you thinking that
Yes.
you're in control of changing someone else's journey. Because I do believe this, that everything's in divine order. This is not a bypass. It's truly is my belief that my lowest points in my life have brought me to my greatest victories ever.
Yeah.
So I get that. His life is for him.
Yeah, I'm so glad you pointed that out, because even as I was speaking it, and I didn't want to word this because I didn't know if it would sound weird, but when I pray that prayer for somebody, and it could be somebody
Mhm,
that's the closest to me in the world, there is a kind of detachment. It's a kind of letting go. Like, oh, this is not on my shoulders. And I'm leaning into faith. I'm leaning into trust. We're walking the walk that we say we have here, in these spiritual teachings, right? And the
mhm.
more I lean into that faith, um, it feels better inside of my body. And I think it translates to the person as well. They
Mm,
start to, on an energetic level, feel like it's like growing wings or growing strength.
I get it.
So yeah, this is mighty work.
Mighty
Uh,
work, mighty work. Hey, Rev, I want to ask you, because I know we'll share too. How does fear show up in you when you
Oh,
know
I
that
don't
you're in fear?
have
How do
it.
you?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
this is just for everybody else.
Wait a minute, girl. I started believing you just for a moment. I was like, yeah, Rev doesn't be in fear. That's right. It's not, you
Yeah, I
got me.
don't do
You got
that.
me.
I was friends with once with somebody, and he said, "I don't do anger," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay, well, everything stops here because yeah, you do, and I'm scared of where it's going if you're not acknowledging."
Right.
Um, wow, where does fear show up? It's big for me. So I had periods in my life where I had literal anxiety attacks, and
Mm,
the hyperventilating, and I've grown a lot and I've learned a lot. And I think now at this point, for me, it shows up as flight. People talk about survival mode: fight, flight,
yeah.
freeze, appease. When I
Mm,
feel threatened, when I feel afraid, the instinct, I'm out of here. The instinct is to bolt. And I'm learning what you mentioned, grow time. Like I'm literally doing my version of that, and to greater and lesser degrees or of success. But I
yeah.
really realized I thought that the goal of life was to make it to the end as unharmed as possible. I thought the goal of life was to not feel the uncomfortable
Mm,
things. And so I've spent a lot of time avoiding the uncomfortable things. And what I'm learning, much to my dismay, is the only way to the other side of the uncomfortable feelings is through them.
yeah.
The only
Wow.
way is through them. Dr. Dan Siegel says, felt feelings flow. Felt
Mm,
feelings flow. So, this is the good news. The scary feelings, the big feelings, the threatening feelings, those feelings, they don't come to stay. They linger until we acknowledge them. So, a big chunk that we're
mm,
going to do in the second half is we're going to talk about how can I responsibly, in a timely manner, acknowledge what am I feeling right now? Can I breathe into it? So you name it. Can I touch into it? Where does it? A lot of times it's up in my upper chest. It's like panic, you
mhm,
know. Um, where is it? And so it's to name it, to notice it, to name it. Where is it in the
mhm,
body? And then to feel into it, and a felt feeling flows on. So when we feel it, when I fully feel that feeling, and I name it and I breathe into it, it releases. It's a river.
mm,
It doesn't stay stuck. And so the idea is, if I let myself be fluid, if I feel the feeling and I release it, then and only
mhm,
then I'm available
mhm,
to this now moment, and I'm available to come up with some kind of solution or next step in a coherent way, not a fear-based way. This is good stuff.
mm.
This is
Yeah,
good stuff.
absolutely. For sure. For sure. I'm literally debilitated when fear is taken over for me. I I feel it in the body, comes up into my heart first, and then my head, and then I get really tired. And when I'm really in fear, I get really, really exhausted, tired,
Yes.
and I go looking for a place to crawl into bed. I literally want to pull the covers over my. I'm becoming debilitated when I know
Yes.
that there's some fear and some work. I love that you said this. The only way to get through it is, or to get on the other side of it, is to go through it. And that is when I almost have to mentally psych myself up to get out of bed and get moving.
Yes.
Especially, and it's so interesting that we say this, and this I'm hearing myself, and I'm noticing where a lot of fear comes up. It's when it's around ministry.
Mm.
And I will say things, and it's not what I mean. So I don't want anyone to take this back, because y'all, this is me working throughout my practitioner moment. In my ego mind, and this is the mind thinking, I will hear things like, if I'm going to teach yoga and I just am fear of being in a new class, my mind will trick and say, oh, I hate yoga, or I hate this, or wait a minute. Why did I say I was going to speak at this convention? I hate this. I have to go, wait a minute, ego. That's not my consciousness. I love what I do.
I want to tell
And
you something.
that's yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
just every
Yeah, of
single
course.
time before I speak at Agape, I say to my
Yeah.
husband, "I think this is the last one. I think I'm kinda done now." And every time he's like, "No, honey, you're not." But it's
Yeah.
the same thing you just said about the yoga class.
I'm like, yeah, I just why am I doing this? Why do I put myself through this?
Good.
And that is that is my indication. Oh, there's some spiritual work to be done here. What is the truth about this statement? Is this really true? Do you hate yoga? Do you hate ministry? Do you not like speaking? Come on now, tell the truth.
Yeah.
And so then my biggest way of shifting the physical is breath. I'll do
Yeah.
some deep breathing. I'll just breathe in, and sometimes I'll just say a simple mantra: God is the love that I am. God is love. God is the love that I am. I'll breathe that in and breathe that out until I feel the fear energy beginning to dissipate and the love energy beginning to rise up.
Oh, I love this. I know we're gonna go to a commercial break in a
Yeah, we
second.
are.
When we come back, I know you
Absolutely.
have those 4 questions that are really powerful, and we could do that like each of us together, and then maybe do some breaths and some other practices to so that my goal, what I would love by the end of this hour, is that we all
Okay.
have some kind of, I'm a tools and practices gal. We all have
Love that.
some things that we can put in place starting this, this day so that
Yeah.
when the fear bubbles up, because as long as we're breathing, it will be there. We have some things that we can do to help us move forward. Good?
I love this. This is a great conversation. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back after we talk to y'all and give you some things that's happening here at the network. Peace.
Well, hello there. This is Dr. Sydney Steen. I am the senior minister and spiritual leader of the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science. We are a oneness center for spiritual living. And I just want to invite you to something that I think is really, really special. In October, from the 6th to the 10th, at Unity Village in Lee Summit, Missouri, the affiliated New Thought Network will be hosting the most wonderful retreat. This will serve your soul. It will lift your heart. And oh my goodness, I want to call it an advance. So come hear wonderful speakers like Martha Creek, Sonny Cantrell, and the music will be off the hook with Ricky Byers. There will be so much there to support your soul. I hope that you will join us. You can go to antn.org. That's antn.org. You can get all the information. You can sign up. You can use a credit card, and it is safe and secure, and I hope to see you there. Have a blessed day.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour, 60 minutes of connections, insights, and conversations to raise your vibe. Join Rev Cynthia, Rev Julie, and Rev Skip each week for an exploration of living a high vibe life. Tune in live every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time or anytime during the week on our YouTube channel. The High Vibe Hour, only on New Thought Media Network.
And welcome back to New Thought Media Network. This is the High Vibe Hour, and we're just having a great, rich conversation around fear.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yes.
Well, I was hoping that we could, before we dive into the practices, can you talk a little bit, because we had a conversation about this. There's a difference from fear of failure and fear of success. Why, in your own experience, do we have a fear of success?
Yeah. So fear of failure is really like the more kind of politically correct one. It's the more acceptable one, it seems like, in our culture.
Mhm.
And just to touch on that for a second, I remember once, I think I was in college and I had a presentation to do, and I had put like my whole heart and soul into it. And it was early on in the school year, in the semester, and I got up there and I knocked it out of the park. Like, it was extraordinary. And I got all this praise from the instructor. And do you want to know something? I never got up and spoke in front of the whole group again the rest of the year because I got paralyzed by that. I thought, well, how could I ever be that good again? So that was a fear of failure. Like, I'd had a moment and it really locked me down. And what I've learned since then, and what happens for me now, because the same thing would come up for me initially when I started speaking and it was well received. The mindset is very different because it's not me. When my mindset is correct and in a really healthy, good space for myself, it's how can I show up and like be open and available and allow God to move through and serve others. Like, it's not
Mm,
about me. So I think that's a real key with the fear of failure thing, is to make the motivation um, not about the little ego self, but what's the greater good? What is the way in which I'm doing what I'm doing that then contributes to the evolution of humanity? Like,
wow.
big, lofty
Yeah.
goals like that, right? And the key to a goal like that, a real true life purpose goal, is that it is not completable in this lifetime. Like, I could never shine enough. There could never be enough light, right? And the key is two things. You can't do it alone. So it takes team, which is why I'm so grateful for you and Rev Cynthia. Like, it takes team and agape and my people.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's the fear of failure piece. And the fear of success piece, that's the one that's a little more insidious, that it's like, oh, okay, so what's the cost? You know? Because if we have a fear of success, then there has to be a belief that there's some kind of cost I'm going to pay. People will
Yeah.
think I'm too big for my britches. People will think like, oh, she thinks she's all that. Or
Mhm.
um, the cost is, you can't have it all. Maybe I can't have a family or can't have a relationship and do the thing. Like, what? And it's unique to everybody. So that's like an intimate moment in your daily spiritual practice to check in. And like I mentioned before, we're not here to fix feelings. You
Yeah.
cannot fix a feeling. Feelings are unfixable. They just need to be noticed, named, and touched into through breath or feeling into it. And then they are a river and they will flow on and create space for something new. So when it comes to fear of success, I think it's very important. And you can, all of us could kind of key in right now and think, well, what's the cost that I'm concerned
Yeah.
about? Like, what is
No,
that? Go ahead.
yeah. I was going to say, part of the fear of failure for me, speaking from transparency, number one, the fear of not being liked. So if I fail, they're not going to like me. The other thing of fear of failure, the root of fear of failure is worthiness. I'm not worthy of being successful. I'm not worthy of, and that's a deep rooted energy of this space of failure. So when we're in a fear of failure, we don't try. We don't
Right.
try. I'm not going to try because I'm not going to fall. And that's really from the egoic thinking. Egoic thinking wants to protect us, so don't do it because you might fail. For me, success has always been I don't want to shine so bright because I don't want to stand out. I
Uh-huh.
don't want to hold and take this level this high where people are might not like me because I'm so bright. Um, I remember once when I was a kid, someone telling me, "Well, you're just way too happy. Tone it down."
Oof.
And then from then on, I always watch how happy I would be.
Mm.
And I realized, ooh, this is still some deep rooted stuff. I remember again, this is of recent time. A member came up to me in North Hollywood, said, "You have so much energy. I mean, sometimes I got to sit in the back because you have too much energy." I went straight to, ooh, let me tone it down. I'm going, hold on. Where did that thought come from? I ain't toning nothing down. What do you mean tone down? What do you mean? And that's Sidious. That's where that thinking comes in. And you're going, oh, is still something there.
Yeah, so that harkens back to what we were saying earlier about their patterns that got set in place a long time ago, but we're all grown up now. So we have some new
Yeah.
skills. So if somebody
We all grown up now.
we all grown now. If somebody says, you can, and still
Yeah.
growing, and
And
still
still
growing, right? Mm.
and
If
still
somebody
growing. Yeah.
says, you too much energy or something like that, or more than that, if they don't say it, but they gave you the look, right? If they give you the look, then the opportunity, since we're learning and we're cultivating our consciousness and we're gaining tools, is okay, let me like tune in to that little version of me. Let me give that little version that got so hurt back then some love and say, I love your brightness. Shine on. It could be like imagining a dial and turning it up, brightening it up.
Mhm.
Yeah, Marianne, been there, done that. Too big for your britches. Yeah. And I'm glad you didn't take it to heart. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think part of this fear thing that we are in the midst of is the learning opportunity for us. This is the learning opportunity to really tap into what you were talking about before. These deep rooted thoughts, the shadow work, we talk about this in shadow work. Where have these been hidden? And am I willing to move past them this time? Or because they'll come up again.
Yeah, you know what? I just had like an aha when you shared
Sure.
that story about yourself. I am very sensitive. And growing up,
Mm,
I heard that a lot. As I grew up, I've been told, like, just get over it. But the way that I'm built, I'm very sensitive. And so part of my growing edge is to accept that as like a superpower, um and so this past Sunday when I spoke at Agape, what my growing edge is, I can deliver a talk crafted, impactful talk, and my growing edge is to share more of me, to be more present, to be more open and available. And so I was really there during the first service, and I got emotional. I had like tears come up, and um, and I don't know if I made this up in my mind, so I really need to say that. I don't know if I made this up in my mind or if it was true, but I felt that there were some people that had some judgments about me getting emotional on stage, and I felt kind of scolded. And my aha that I just had with you is, because I've been thinking it's just true. I know that's true. I know that's what they thought, but I'm thinking like, I wonder how much of that is like an old feeling from growing up. And then and then the win that I got, and we don't always get a demonstration, so sometimes I would just need to sit in that feeling. But I was feeling worried. I'm like, oh, was that too much? Does that make people uncomfortable that I had emotion come up? And then a very, very well-known person reached out to me through social media and started following me. And so I was like, well, I don't care if they didn't like my crying because this person did. So I got that win. But you don't always get the win. And when I don't always get the win, can I still stay rooted
yeah,
and like love that little kid version of me that as a grown adult, I can go back there like that, like
absolutely.
shamed
You kn-
for being for showing myself. You know what I mean?
yes,
This is why tools and practices are so helpful. And your 4 questions
Yeah.
are so helpful
That
for stuff like that.
and exactly for us, and you guys look at Byron Katie. I used to follow her quite a bit, and then other teachers. She was very prominent New Thought teacher. She still is. I mean, her teachings are still there, and she taught something that was very interesting. When you have stressful, fearful thoughts, to ask 4 questions, and the first question you always ask about the stressful, fearful thought is this true? So for me, if I take on that energy of I'm too bright, this person doesn't like me, I'm way too bright, I'm too bright for everyone else in this room, I need to tone down. Is that true? Is that true about me? Or is it true about their experience of me? So we get to stop, be still, contemplate. The second question is, can you absolutely know that it's true? If you say it's true, do you absolutely know it's true? I think that takes us a little bit deeper, Rev, into the contemplation of the truth of it.
Uh-huh.
And then the third question she invites us to ask ourselves: how do you react when it happens and when you believe that thought? Well, how do you react? What is your reaction to it? Yeah, I want to shrink down.
Shrivel up.
I want
Yeah.
to, I shrivel up. I want to go and get under my covers and watch Netflix because I'm safe there. And then the
Yes.
fourth
Yes.
question is,
Yes.
who would you be without that thought? And that's the thing I would be so bright and shiny. Y'all have to put on some sunglasses. That's how bright I'd be without that thought. I think it's just a simple way to really tap into what is really going on to get to the bottom of this experience of that we're having, because it is an experience.
Yeah. You know what? If you're good with it, I would love to take a moment and
Yeah,
invite all of us
absolutely.
to think of an example.
Mhm.
How would you describe what the example is? A time when you felt you thought you knew something,
Or a
like
time that you and to complement that, and we're going to go into that practice in a moment. The 4 agreements. The
oh,
2
okay, there you
agreements:
go.
don't assume anything, don't take anything personally. But if you do assume something, assuming that that person really has some truth, or I'm taking it personally, it could be any thought. It could be anything from what you're wearing, or it could be anything from what you're saying. It could be any thought that someone placed on you that you really took to heart and you took personally. Like, oh, have you? My mother did this. God bless her. I went home a couple. I've been going back and forth. I think the first time we went home, at the beginning of the summer, she was like, "God, you look so good. So good to see you, but you put on a few pounds." That's my big trigger right there. I know it's your birthday, Mom, and I know you might be in the hospital, but listen, you know, and I went through this real fear around, am I gaining weight? What have I done? Is this the right shirt? What is happening? It was just her. She didn't have her glasses on. It was so that was when I went, is it really true? Have I
Ah,
gained weight? Is it really, really true? Is it absolutely true? Could there be some truth to it? And, you know, how am I reacting with my mother? And at that time, I resented my mother just for a short little bit of time. So if this question comes up, it's like my reaction was to resent that person. And then, to go into that, okay, is it really true that I gained weight? How am I reacting? Is it absolutely true? But who am I without that thought? Who am I? I am beautiful in my body temple. I am beautiful in my life. I'm beautiful. I am divine. And it takes practice to go through that.
mhm. Will you do that? Will you lead us through those 4
Sure,
questions? So
absolutely.
so the
So
invitation is for everybody to think of an example of something. Like you and I both gave examples, so I'm sure we all have something to draw from.
yeah.
Like that
So I
that
just
look. Who said that? Marianne. The look.
I
Yeah.
The look, right? Oh my God. What I want you to do is I want you to take a moment and just remember a time that there was a thought. There was a thought that was placed upon you that you, even for a moment, received it as truth.
Mhm.
And notice if some fears come up around that or some energy, maybe even anger, you were triggered in some way.
Mhm.
I want you to just recognize it. And I want you
And
to
it could be
take
your
that.
own thought. It doesn't have to be that
it,
somebody else says it. It could be your own voice.
exactly. And in fact, it is your own voice because you've taken that on as truth,
Yes.
even
Okay,
for a
good.
moment. So even in your own experience of that thought that you've taken on, ask yourself, is this thought really true? Is this really true about me? And if you're still dealing with it, if you're not going to an absolute no, this is not true, let's go in a little bit deeper and ask ourselves, is this thought absolutely true? There's a deeper level of dropping in. Is it absolutely true here? And if you're still dealing with it, to go even deeper, how am I showing up in this moment with this thought with myself? What's happening in me? And even in that place of what's happening in me, notice how you're reacting to the person, or because it's all about you and how you're interacting with the person and with yourself. And then if it's still triggering you, you're still there, ask yourself, who would I be without this fear, without this stressful thought, without this fearful thought? Who would I be? And now I want you to feel the energy of who you would be without that thought. Notice how you feel now. Notice if there's any release. Notice if there's any comfort. And stay within that feeling tone because that's the true nature. You're not your thought, you're having a thought. It's not your truth. You're having these thoughts. And come back in. That is a time I got to say that when I do work like this, it's not even in the presence of someone that's there. Have we had a conversation? It's in my alone time. It's my contemplation time. It is my time where I can sit by myself, you
Yeah.
know? And the other thing too is I go back to the four agreements in this. Don Miguel Ruiz says that it's not about that person. So even if we take things personally, it's not about you, it's about how they perceive you, their reaction to you. So you can simply say, this is not about me. This is about how you see me. I wouldn't say that to the person, but I say that in my head quite a bit. I remember when I was in Florida for the very first year, people used to love to talk about what I was wearing. And people will come up, that was a great message, but I didn't get those blue shoes today. I would take that personally. I would go,
Yeah.
okay. And in my mind, it was like, oh, you did something wrong. I'm wearing blue shoes. Or I used to wear my white glasses. And people would go, I don't like those white glasses. Some people used to love them. Yeah, that was great talk with those white glasses. And I go, is that the truth? That I don't look good in my white glasses?
You know, the
Yeah.
part that's popping for me right now, when I was asking those questions,
Mm.
there were some of it was like, oh, there is a piece that can be true. Like it could be distracting in my example, if somebody's up on stage and they're like having a meltdown or they're very emotional, like it could be distracting. Yeah, Marianne, I like that. What other people think of me is none of my business. Don Miguel Ruiz, for sure.
Exactly. Yes.
So when I was doing those 4 questions, I was like, okay, there is something there, like there is a piece there that does ring as true, but but the thought, lingering on that thought, because what happens is the feeling is humiliation or embarrassment, and that doesn't serve me. So the part that serves me is to say, okay, that happened. It was an experience. Um, and the gift in it is that I had the experience of being more free, and the rest of the talk like had more flight for me than usual. Like I really felt what it was to take lift off. So for me, the practice is, okay, I learned a little something. There is some truth there that I can take. And I'm not going to stick with humiliation, embarrassment. I'm just going to stick with the intention, which is flight, which is serving, which is
Mm.
uplifting. So I wanted to layer that piece in also. And then I know we're coming down to the end of this hour. This is such juicy material. I wanted to offer up that we leave here like with a to-go bag, that you leave here with some tools. So the idea when something comes up and um and it's an uncomfortable feeling, that maybe that first step is grow time. You
Yeah.
know, for me, it used to be go time, like out of here.
Mhm.
I did flight. You mentioned freeze. Other people get angry. Like I know somebody that when he's afraid, he has these big blusters of anger, right? But I know the person, and I know that it's really just fear that's coming up. So to know ourselves, what your instinct is when fear comes, do you move into fight, flight, freeze, appease? And then to build up the muscle of grow time, to
Yeah.
build up the
Yeah.
muscle, whether it's about yourself or somebody else. I trust my life. I trust
Mm.
that my life is for me. I trust their life. I trust that
Yeah.
their life is for you. And it's a muscle. It's like going to the gym. You build that thing up every single day, right?
Mm.
And then we can even go into these questions like, is it true? Because the first thought might be, no, it's not true. Or it might be, yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. And then you go, is it really true? And you're like, oh, no, that's not really true. Like who I am is beautiful. My essence, it's not me. It was given to me. You know,
Right.
you're bright, you're whatever. And sometimes if somebody comes to me and says something, I check in like, is this Jay Thomas? Very happy to have you with us. Um, so sometimes I check in and see, is there value
Mhm.
here? Like I remember one time I gave my whole heart and soul to a talk, and I was wearing very sparkly shoes. And somebody said, I really love that talk. It was kind of hard to focus because your shoes were so sparkly. And I was like, okay, sparkly shoes are for another time. So I took what's there and
Yeah.
what feels right, and you disregard the rest. But what matters most for me is not to linger in it, not to sit in it, so that I can be free. And that's feeling into the feelings. Wow, this hour went so fast.
That sounds like a great insight for both of us. I'm going to leave that as my vibe insight as well. That was it's so deep. I love the work that we do here. Hey, Rev, where can people find you? Where can people be with you
Oh,
more
follow
and get
me
your
on Instagram.
coaching?
Yeah, Rev Julie Moret on Instagram is a great
Yeah.
spot, JuliemMoret. And I'm putting up more guided practices. You can also follow on my YouTube channel at Rev Julie
Oh,
Moret on
what?
YouTube. Yeah, yeah.
Because they're probably watching it right now on YouTube,
Yes.
hopefully.
So follow, share this
and
information, put it out there. How
And
about you?
get a copy of her book, y'all. What's Your What? You can go to Amazon, grab it.
Yes.
It's a
Thank you.
read that you love. You absolutely love, 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 love. And you can go to skipjennings.com, get more information about what I'm doing. Also know that I am going on a trip to Bali. So y'all are more than welcome to come with me. This Sunday, y'all, we do have an information meeting that's happening with our team in Bali. It is at 5 o'clock p.m. on Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can get more information on how you can set up your payment plans. We're not going into March, so there's plenty of time to get your ticket. We have literally 8 spots. We have 12 people who have said yes, and they're paying and they're going for it. We have 8 spots left. I think we're going to cap it at 20. I know Reverend Cynthia is getting another trip to Bali, and the team in Bali has asked me to come back in September. I'm going, I don't know if I can take time out again for another
Oh my
trip
God.
to Bali. And that's like, so they like us over there. So we'll be kind of figuring all that out, and you can get my book. You can find out more information at skipjennings.com about like 3 or 4 books that I have, 3 books that I have out there. Just go and check it out. Wow. The time went really quickly.
It did.
And Reverend
So
Cynthia will
grateful.
be back with us again next week. This has been a wonderful, juicy, delicious time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm grateful. See y'all
And
next
thank
week.
you. See you next week. Remember, transformation is a choice. You can choose today. Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you.